All right, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, PartsBreakers.com, 303-666-9020. This is going to be the last tub of the day. We had some technical difficulties. We were planning on getting all 10 that we brought in, along with, we had high hopes, along with 15 frames listed, but it takes about an hour of freaking tub or frame. You'd be surprised at just that process, not including the finding things. So basically what we do is we start locating them. And since you can't there's just no way to make it if you just go out and get one at a time, because we drive such distances to get them. We secure them. We have to trust, just like everybody has to trust at some point in this world. We trust people we're getting them from, and we secure them, sometimes deposit, sometimes full payment. And then sometimes it takes us 10 months to get out there, to get the Jeep, to get the tub, to get whatever it is that we're buying from them. And then once we know we're going to have a full load, we hook up the trailer and we go get them. And we hope when we get there, they're there. So we've never actually not had them there. We've always been really blessed in that arena. So that's kind of the story. This is one of those tubs, Southwest tub, not a spot of rust on it. It's an absolutely gorgeous tub. This is a YJ. Compatibility is 1987 to 1995. Okay. There is such a thing as an early YJ versus a late YJ tub. There's only 2 splits in them, whereas like a TJ has 3, technically. But the differences are very minimal, and I have all that on the website, but I always like to say it just very briefly in here, but a detailed description on our site and on our YouTube channel for comparisons, okay? But the length, the width, the height, how they bolt to the frame, identical. How the seats bolt, identical. How the firewall stuff, identical, okay? All that stuff's the same. Where it changes is how the battery tray is mounted. On the early ones, this is considered an early tub. The tray, or the battery itself, is parallel lengthwise to the fenders. And on the later tubs, the let's say 90-ish, that's usually about the time you start seeing it, the length of the battery tray is now in parallel with the firewall, okay? And I'm sure they did that just because the mass of the battery is now closer to, I'm sure they figured that out. But the early YJs run what the CJ battery bracket would have been, and that therefore if you're doing a CJ swap, little things like that can help make that swap better, because yes, this tub can be used, although you can use any YJ to do it. There are some differences, and again, I go into more details on that on our YouTube channel, and soon to have a page on our website that will discuss that as well, because ultimately that is a much more feasible option in some cases when we don't have CJ tubs. And I would say in 21 years of doing this, 80% of the time we do not have a CJ tub. I do have 2 right now, 2 CJ7 tubs that are available. Well, one of them just got listed today. The next one will be listed probably tomorrow. And then once they're sold, we'll be right back to what we have for YJs. And honestly, the YJs are getting just as hard to get, especially clean, as those CJs are. They're just as elusive. We still get them, I would say, far more, but not as many as, like, even the TJ tubs are drying up. It's unfortunate in some ways, and I'll tell you one of the reasons it is, folks. The main reason, other than they're just getting old, they're rusty on areas that, places out east just destroy them, Midwest. Some are getting wrecked, There's all those reasons, and those reasons have been around forever. But the other big reason, the big factor here, and this has definitely happened on CJs, but you're seeing it on YJs now and definitely TJs, is that Jeep used to be, you could get more for parts than you could selling them whole. And now it's not that way anymore. Even with the market being where it is, the Jeeps in general for that style, that CJ7, that YJ, or that Wrangler YJ and Wrangler TJ style, they are now worth more assembled than they are disassembled. And I don't know if I ever thought that would happen, to be honest with you. Even back in the day, and that's just happened within the last couple of years. So again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that when people are wanting to go out and buy one of these, they have realized that there are a lot of rust buckets out there. So to find a clean running, driving, clean title, no rust Jeep is hard. And so something like this, and if you're in the case that your Jeep is rusty, you don't know what to do with it, I assure you it's worth maybe $500 as a rusty Jeep, and it's worth a lot more than that as a complete Jeep. And we have a YJ up right now that needs a paint job but has no rust on it, and it's a Renegade package, beautiful Jeep. lifted, and it's got a brand new rebuild X15, yada, yada, yada. And we're wanting 12 grand out of it. And you couldn't, it's going to be hard to build a Jeep, or replace a Jeep, I should say, for that. So keep that in mind when you're out there. If you're determining, hey, is it worth doing? Yeah, it costs some money to do, but yes, it's, you know, had that one been painted, and like most of these will be painted, obviously, if you're doing a frame and a tub or just a tub, you're going to be more likely restoring it. So you're going to be fresh paint jobs, you know, going through the mechanical aspects. Yeah, I mean, we sold one last fall for over 20. So they are definitely holding their value if they're nice and clean, but they got to be clean. They got to be rust free. Okay. So this one is that way. Now the tub I listed earlier, which was also a YJ tub, was a Laredo. Now it does not matter. The tubs are the same, but there is one little difference on them. On the bottom of the rockers here, your door rockers, you'll notice on that tub, if you look back on our YouTube or our website, you'll see holes in them across the bottom. That's for that flare that goes there. Now, not just the Laredos, some of the base models, the sports and stuff, also were optioned with a kind of a side step built-in flare, and those will have those too. So if you don't want those, this is the tub you'd want to get, because you'll have to fill those in if you're not going to use them. And this tub doesn't have them. It has the two up front for the extension flare on your front flares, but that's it. Okay, and that's nice. That's not, I would say most of the tubs we get out here are set up with those, and it's not the end of the world, and you can fill them in, and we obviously recommend doing it that way most of the time. But if you can get a nice clean tub without those because you don't want them, then fantastic. Just one other area you don't have to mess with. So this is a, you know, I'm talking a lot about generals on these things. I'm not really giving you a lot of shape because it's a beautiful tub. There is really nothing on this tub. And we'll flip it up here in just a second if my phone doesn't get overheated in the process. It's been doing that all day today. It's like 100 degrees out here. So, but you know, normally there's door dings and stuff like that. And then there's going to be those. I'm not saying there's not. But I'm telling you from looking at this thing, and that's what one of the things I want to show you is seeing if this, I want you to feel like you're standing here next to me. That's what the whole point of these videos are. And this is why I've been doing it this way for 20 years. Okay. When YouTube came out, this is what I was doing. I've been calling them our boring product videos forever. Now there's a ding, you can kind of see it, and you can see where the scratch is. Okay, good little door ding there, and there's one kind of catty corner right above it there. Okay, nothing major, but there's definitely a little ding there. Roller rocker, clean, clean, clean. The cowling, beautiful, excellent shape. And then the floors, that's a perfectly flat back trunk area or back seat area, whatever you want to call it. If they get overloaded, they're out, you know, being used in camping and wood and cement or whatever, you know, people do with their Jeeps, they'll often get waves in the rear. And usually it's separating is what it's doing. This is nice and flat. You don't have to worry about any of that. This is clean. The wheel wells are squared up. They're perfect. I had one I did earlier. It had a little ding in the back, and it kind of had indented that rear wheel well just a little bit. So obviously we marked that one down just a little bit. But still really clean tub, and this one is absolutely flawless. There's nothing. Look at the feet of the roll bar, nothing broken off, both sides. Okay, so in a long time, which we get grade A tubs, YJ tubs, but there have been far and few between. I've had a lot of B's lately. Look how clean this is down here. Look at the feet here. Okay, a little oxidation, that's normal. This is smooth. There's not even surface rust coming up. Not even there. I'll let the phone focus there. Same thing there, no rot, no rust, not even surface rust. Surface rust is when you get that nice, I say nice, not nice, but it's a layered steel and you start getting those flakes coming off. There's nothing like that here, okay? The tunnel's clean. The only thing that I know we're gonna see, because they're almost always like this, especially in the driver's seat, and I can already tell. So the driver's seats, because they get used the most, the driver in general, right? There's not always a passenger up here. And almost all the tubs do it. And it's has nothing to do with anything except for one thing: poor maintenance. Okay, and you see a little crack here, and you're going to want to fill it in, because if you don't, it will get worse. Okay, it's not a bad fix, and we can do it here. And we usually just knock a little bit down on them, a small bead of weld. You don't have to get crazy with it. What causes it is when people's seat brackets get loose, and instead of getting in there with a wrench and tighten them back up, they let them rock and rock and rock, and eventually it gets a gap here, and it starts pulling the metal little bit by little bit, and eventually cracks it. Okay, so that's why you'll see that, and you'll see that very often, even on really clean, rust-free Jeeps. Rusted Jeeps will just, if they happen like that, which usually they won't because the bolts are so rusted to them. But if they do, it's pulling the whole chunk of steel out of the floor. So I got to pause the video real quick to put this up on its side, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. And yeah, we'll give you the rest of the details here shortly. Okay, now I know this phone's going to crap out on me, so I'm going to try to make this quick. We always count them off, so we'll start there. Okay, there's 10 total body to frame mounts. I'm showing you how clean the threads are and that there's nothing broken in them. And I'm also letting you look at this nice clean boxed area. This is like a torque box of its own, and they love to rust out on YJ. So this one's clean. Okay, nothing there. And we got 1, 2. Okay, nice shiny threads. 3, 4. Now these are the 2 that are above your fuel tank. You can't see. Okay, and then we got 5, 6, 7. Absolutely beautiful, no cracking. This is another area. These will get loose, and over time they'll start cracking this area. Now this is an easy fix. You can actually, when these break off, you can get to them pretty easy. These are all supposed to move. Don't weld those in place. I've had people do that. Okay, 8, 9. I don't know if you got to see that one from the light, but that one's beautiful as well. There you go. 9 and 10. Okay, so absolutely phenomenal. Okay, now we got a lot of stuff off of this as far as grime, but a lot of this stuff that you see that's a little bit of a rubber coating, that's all factory. That's an underlayment that they put on these. Now, they don't do the greatest job. I'm sure somebody literally took a wand and did this with it, and it moved down the assembly line. I would suggest in doing this process, you do redo that. If nothing else, add to it, because it substantially changes the noise profiles that you hear inside of the cab or the tub, and it will help insulate for winter or for summer. You get a lot of heat off the road. You get, especially in hot areas, you get a lot of heat. You also get a lot of heat from the engine compartment, and doing a better job than they did from the factory is one of those areas you can greatly improve these. You can even extend it up here, and I would actually extend it most places. The only place you want to watch putting liner on it is the firewall. You can do liner, but you got to remember your grounds. If you coat this whole thing with liner, you will be chasing your tail for the rest of your life trying to hunt ground spots. And I'm not saying just initially, you can get them initially, but it's just one of those things you're constantly. So keep good grounds visible. You always want to have those. Just advice, as I've done these for so long. Okay, this is just a hose that needs to come out still. I don't know why it's, looks like they just didn't get it pulled. There's a little clip here. Doing it with one hand is liable to jack my hand smashing into something, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Look at the seams, okay? And then this is the other area that you cannot see on a YJ. Look how clean this is here. This is an area that's hidden by a liner, and it's also the feet of your roll bar where they come down, okay? Now look at the profile here, because this is we're looking down at sometimes hide sinks. Here's those 2 dings I showed you, okay? This all looks pretty good. It's got a little bow there. This can be pulled out maybe a little bit, but that corner is beautiful. A couple little door dings up through there, but a lot of those are factory where they weld the spot welds in, and CJs have that too. Matter of fact, on CJs, it becomes so important to people because they leveled them, and they literally would ship them from the dealership from the factory to a dealership, and the dealership would take them in and have them to a body shop and have it all leveled out. And the collectors now that are building them, they want that stuff. They want the little imperfections in them. This is not a factory imperfection, but you can kind of see them right through here, the little spot welds right through up there. Those are all those. So if you don't like that, just like they leveled them, you can level them too. You can just go back through them. So a couple little ones down here I see. Again, folks, I like to show these videos. The whole point of this video is not to hide anything. They had some sort of aftermarket antenna on it, so that hole's a little bit bigger than the factory one, but that factory one will cover that up, or you can fix it the way it was. And then they had something mounted right there as well. So again, there's no reason. You're gonna see it eventually no matter what. I'd rather you see it as it sits here in the state it's in. So when it shows up, you go, holy moly, it's better than I thought. The last thing we wanna have is, ugh, what the heck is this pile of crap? How many times have we bought stuff online? Especially even the new crap is like that. You get it and it's like, this is junk. We don't want to have anything to do with stuff like that. So we really take a lot of pride in that, and that's why we do a 15-minute video may not seem like much on this particular tub, but you got to amplify it and you got to multiply it by all these, and then the listings and the pickups. It's a ton of time. I would say every tub that we do, we probably have a day to 2 full days of labor and the picking it up. And that's not including if it's even further. I mean, this trip was about 10 days. So lots of time to go get them, lots of time to find them in the beginning, and then lots of times to deliver them. Right now, August starts, and we run this all the way till May of next year. We run a 3-week hotshot crew. So every 3 weeks, we have a crew that leaves here on average, okay? Now, plus or minus, and sometimes things happen with the trucks, but you can sometimes catch it just right where they're leaving the day of. I literally have sold tubs as they're loading them, and they're delivered in 3 days. I mean, it's freaking awesome. But again, that's under promise, over deliver. So it's a 3-week time frame. If you happen to catch it at the very beginning, you'll have your tub 3 to 4 weeks max at your door. And you don't have to deal with freight companies, guys. This is the most white glove service you'll ever find, and it's the most affordable you'll ever find. When I run them about $200 less, but I only run a trip twice a year. And I just came back in May. My trip won't be until probably December, January, like it was last year when we get a little slow right after Christmas. But we do have a hotshot crew. Again, they're on payroll. They run every 3 weeks, and you know, and sometimes sooner than that. I mean, I've had loads where they fill up so quick. We've dispatched 2 of them right in the same 10-day period. So especially this time of year, and the reason is it's project season. It's not yet, but it's going to be. So people are trying to get these dialed in, because by November, December, I would say maybe even in January, we're out of tubs, and then we're racing out there and trying to secure the next load. And then summertime, when we get a little slow, we go out and pick them up. Summertime's usually our slow season, although this year was one of the first years, why I went in May, that I figured out there's a project season for the summer guys. So there's guys out there who may not have a garage in the winter, or maybe they just don't want to do anything in the winter. Like us, we don't have a heated garage, so it's pretty cold. We don't get snow out here, but it does get cold. And so project season for them is the summer months. It's not nearly as busy, but there was still a full load that went out when I went out, and I went all the way to Augusta, Maine. And let me tell you, I had a whole bunch of breakdowns on that trip. I had a torque converter go bad. I was able to push this thing along at 50 miles an hour, and that happened in Nebraska. We're in Colorado on the way out. So I went 50 the whole way. I got to Iowa, and guess what went bad? My AC. So not only did I have to go 50 miles per hour all the way to Augusta, Maine and back, which once I got up there it was at least cooler, but I had no AC, and May was a little warm, especially in Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois. It didn't get cool until I got like New York, and then it got a little cool. So anyway, my first video of the day and my last video of the day is always the longest, and maybe it's just luck of the draw. But I appreciate it if you've hung out here. God bless you all. It is August, I think it's the 3rd today. It's Sunday, whatever it is, and 2025. I always like to reference the date there. 303-666-9020. This will be listed on our YouTube channel as well as our website. And yeah, good luck, and hopefully we get to meet you here soon.